Book 2 begins with Glaucon and Adeimantus, Plato's brothers, pushing Socrates harder. They're not satisfied with his arguments from Book 1. They want Socrates to show that justice is good in itself, not just for its consequences. Glaucon presents a powerful challenge. He divides goods into three types: things good only for their consequences, like medical treatment; things good only in themselves, like harmless pleasures; and things good both in themselves and for the consequences, like knowledge. Where does justice fit? Most people, Glaucon suggests, think justice is in the first category, good only for its consequences. We're just because it brings rewards and avoids punishment, not because being just is itself desirable. If we could be unjust without consequences, we would be. This suggests justice is just a compromise. We accept it only because we can't get away with injustice. Glaucon then imagines two extreme cases: the perfectly just person who appears unjust and suffers accordingly, versus the perfectly unjust person who appears just and reaps rewards. If justice is truly good in itself, the just person should be happier even while suffering, and the unjust person should be more miserable even while succeeding. Can Socrates defend this? Adeimantus adds another dimension. Even people who praise justice, he notes, praise it for its consequences: good reputation, divine rewards, social benefits. No one praises justice itself, what it does to the soul. This reinforces the suspicion that justice is only instrumentally valuable.
These are the challenges Socrates must answer, and to do so he proposes his ambitious project. Let's create a city in words from its origins and watch justice and injustice come into being. A city is larger than an individual, so justice should be easier to see there. Once we identify justice in the city, we can look for it in the individual soul. How does a city begin? Socrates starts with the fundamental fact of human neediness. No individual is self-sufficient. We need food, shelter, clothing, tools, medicine, education. We can't each produce all these things ourselves. So people come together, each specializing in what they do best. One person farms, another builds houses, another weaves cloth, another makes shoes. Through specialization, everyone becomes more skilled at their particular craft, and through trade, everyone's needs are better met. This is the origin of the city: mutual need and mutual benefit through cooperation and specialization. But this simple city needs expansion. As it grows, it needs more specialized crafts, merchants to facilitate trade, sailors to import necessities, wage earners to do unskilled labor. It needs money as a medium of exchange. The economic foundations of the city are being established. Then comes a crucial step. This city needs protection from external threats. Not everyone can be a guardian. It requires special talents. The guardians must be fierce to enemies but gentle to citizens, like well-bred dogs who are aggressive to strangers but loyal to their household. This dual nature, spiritedness combined with philosophical temperament, requires careful cultivation. So the education of the guardians becomes paramount. Book 3 develops this education in detail. The guardians are educated through music and gymnastics, but these terms have broader meaning than we might expect. Music, or musicae, includes all the arts under the muses: poetry, song, storytelling, and cultural formation generally. Gymnastics includes physical training and discipline.
Why start with music? Because, Plato argues, stories and songs shape the soul from youth. The young guardians must hear the right stories, ones that promote courage, self-control, piety, and proper attitudes toward death, the gods, and heroes. This leads to Plato's controversial critique of traditional Greek poetry, especially Homer and Hesiod. Many traditional myths show gods behaving badly, fighting each other, deceiving mortals, causing evil.
Heroes fear death excessively or fail to control their appetites. Plato argues such stories corrupt the young. They should be censored or rewritten. This isn't arbitrary prudishness. Plato believes stories shape character. If guardians learn from childhood that gods are capricious or that heroes yield to every emotion, they'll develop similar traits. If they're to be courageous and self-controlled, they need stories that model these virtues. Similarly, with style and music, certain musical modes promote appropriate emotions. Others promote weakness or license. Certain poetic styles, simple narrative, are better than others, dramatic imitation, because they don't encourage guardians to identify with multiple characters and roles. The guardian should have a unified character, not adopt different personas. Physical education is equally important, but must be balanced with cultural education. Excessive focus on gymnastics produces crude, violent people. Excessive focus on music produces soft, weak people. The proper blend produces guardians who are both spirited and philosophical. Fierce when necessary, but governed by reason. As the guardian class develops, a further division emerges. The best of the guardians, those with the strongest philosophical natures, best memories, and deepest devotion to the city's welfare, become the rulers. The rest remain auxiliaries, the warrior class. The city now has 3 classes. The producers, farmers, craftsmen, merchants, who handle all economic activity. The auxiliaries, warriors, who protect the city. And the rulers, philosopher kings, who govern.
But how do we ensure the guardians and rulers remain focused on the common good, rather than their own interests? Plato's answer is radical. The guardian class has no private property. They live communally, receiving support from the producers but owning nothing themselves. They have no private wealth, no land, no accumulated possessions. Even more radically, they have no private families. Wives and children are held in common. Mating is carefully regulated by the rulers, ostensibly by lottery, but actually controlled to produce the best offspring. Children are raised collectively, not knowing who their biological parents are. Everyone treats all children of the appropriate age as their children. Why such extreme measures? Because private interests corrupt public service. If guardians own property, they become landlords, protecting their estates rather than guardians protecting the city. If they have private families, they favor their own children over others. To keep guardians entirely focused on the common good, private interests must be eliminated. Plato even proposes equality between male and female guardians. This was radically egalitarian for ancient Athens. Women with the right nature should receive the same education and perform the same roles as men. Biological differences don't determine civic roles. There's also the noble lie or myth of metals, a founding story that all citizens are born from the earth itself, but some are born with gold in their souls, the rulers, some with silver, the auxiliaries, and some with bronze and iron, the producers. This myth promotes social harmony and acceptance of one's role. But it's not rigidly hereditary. Children who show the nature of a different metal should be moved to the appropriate class. A producer's child who shows gold nature should become a ruler. A ruler's child who shows bronze nature should become a producer. The system is meritocratic, based on natural ability rather than birth. By the end of Book 3, the basic structure of the ideal city is complete. It has 3 classes, each performing its proper function. It has an elaborate educational system to shape guardian souls. It has eliminated private property and private families among the guardian class to prevent corruption.
But we still haven't answered the original question: what is justice?